So I'm in Lincoln Park and I am walking towards the lake. Behind me is Devil's Hill. In front of me is Diversey Harbor. I'm headed towards the harbor because that's where they harbor the bathrooms. And I have to take a piss. So I'm going to begin this walk with a pit stop. That shouldn't come as too great a surprise, because I begin most things in life with a pit stop. So this is just me walking with my little Sony camera, and I've made it to the bathrooms. So I'm not going to invite you on this little part of the journey. I think you should thank me for not taking you into that bathroom. That was pretty disgusting. I'm standing here at the base of Devil's Hill. This is Lincoln Park. We are next to what is called the North Pond. In front of me is Lake Michigan. Immediately before that is Diversey Harbor. We're going to take a look at all of those things today. And mostly we're going to take a walk around that pond. The question is, can an old fart like myself give you any insights into what this pond is like and what it was like 50 or 60 years ago? I doubt that that's possible, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. Well, this is the North Pond, and we're going to take a walk around it today. That is the front of the restaurant. The entrance is here on the side. They really didn't do a lot to change the building. It was a beautiful old building. Built probably back in the Depression age. And this is where we could go and go to the bathroom. I don't know if you can still go to the bathroom here, but I know that I know where it is. It's right through that door. Over here was an open, well, right here there was a playground, which they've moved now about a block north. And this was just an open field for playing soccer and football. And down at the other end of this open field, there was a building that housed the monument dedicated to Alexander Hamilton. I didn't know anything about Alexander Hamilton, but there he is. Now he's, of course, the subject of a famous play, musical in New York, which I think covers his life pretty well. Down there, that round building is the Elks Club. That's the international headquarters of the Elks Club, which at the time we used to be able to actually go up to the building, and I think we could go in, although I don't remember going into the building. Now they've built fences around the entire building, and you're not allowed to go in. As I said before, this is where the playground was. And there's always been playgrounds here, and well-kept lawns, beautifully manicured landscape. It's because it's always been surrounded by the very richest people in Chicago. There may be a richer neighborhood in Chicago, a zip code with more millionaires, but I'd have to see it. Interestingly enough, when we were kids, a lot of the folks who lived here, which is called the Gold Coast, their kids actually went to the grammar schools. They didn't all go to private schools or provincial, whatever, Catholic schools. And so we had a mix of our class of middle class working families and the very wealthy in our classrooms. We didn't necessarily integrate as friends and go over to their houses and stuff, but they were in our classes. That's where they moved the new playground to, and it's really quite a playground. It's got some really nice stuff in it. It would be nice if every neighborhood in Chicago had a playground like that. Yeah, but they don't, because every neighborhood in Chicago isn't surrounded by thousands of millionaires. This little hill here, we had a name for it too. It's hardly a hill, it's more of a bump. We call this Angel's Hill, next to Devil's Hill. There's lots of people here. I'd like to ask somebody if these hills have names now. I don't see any plaques that suggest they do. So we're going to take a walk around the pond and see if my knees can hold up. Here they're describing what they're doing to improve and to save this pond. It really is quite a beautiful pond. There is a sidewalk that goes all the way around the pond. That's where we're going now. This is the furthermost northern part of the pond, and if you go down there to the southern part, which is about half a mile, that's where the Lincoln Park Zoo is. And we used to go there a lot. If you go down to where the zoo is and you turn left, you go to Lake Michigan and the beaches, and we could do that a lot. I never found the lake all that inviting. The beaches were nice, but they were full of sand. And the lake never got warm until late August. By the time the lake got warm, it was already in the process of getting cold again. So we had, 2 or 3 weeks of good swimming in the lake, but they were also always closing the beaches back then because the city was still dumping shit into the lake, and the lakes it would become so polluted that you couldn't swim in it. I think that still happens on occasion, that they close the beaches when rain causes runoff and open sewers. Raw sewage is dumped into the lake. This was just such a nice thing to have in your backyard. A pond. I know that there are people in the world who really do have this in their backyard. A pond and all the amenities, but even though we shared it with other people, it was in our backyard. This now mostly is a dog walk for rich people. And I suspect we're going to see plenty of that today. Yep. They have little side trails now that you can walk along. This was all heavy brush when we lived in trees. You can see some of the remnants of those trees even today. But these trees were growing everywhere and brush. It was very difficult to get in here. Generally you had to stay on the path, the main path. But today they've cleared all that, so you can walk in here pretty freely. I would say from the looks of these trees that they're old enough. They were probably, the ones lying in the pond here, were probably here when we were kids. I know that directly across there's a huge tree in the water. That tree was there when I was a kid, and it was in the water. There's some wildlife. There's also a fat squirrel right over here. I don't know if you can see him. He's down there at the base of the tree. He's eating something. They're not that afraid of him, so if I start walking towards him, he'll probably run. As long as I don't make any moves, he's probably not going to go anywhere. He's enjoying his meal. I'm going to take a couple steps. See if he'll... Yeah, he didn't move. I'm not going to try to go any closer, but that's... I can remember as a kid coming here and feeding those squirrels. Bring my bag of peanuts from the store where I worked and come here and feed the squirrels. I came here often enough so that I recognized some of the squirrels, and they recognized me, and they used to come and take the peanuts out of my hands. They had shells on them, but they would, they were, I guess, domesticated enough, or whatever the word would be, that they came right up and would take the peanuts. I don't think that's an actual living thing. I think that's just something put there by a kid. But anyway, I don't know if you can hear the wind. I do have a wind cover on my microphones, but I don't know if that's enough to really defeat the wind. I also turned on the software that cuts down the wind noises, but we'll see. I can't hear what I'm recording. Yeah, there's ducks everywhere. Ducks and geese. I miss the rustic lagoon that I used to walk on when I was a kid, but this is so much nicer. I cannot make a case that what we had was better. It was different. It was what we were used to. But Jesus, they've cleaned this up. These paths are safe to walk. Maybe I've led a completely selfish life. I don't know. Here's something interesting. These are obviously socially distant trees that have been carved into seating. So you can sit there on that one and sit here 6 feet away.